Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Game 5. Pacers, Thunder. All right, Jalen, I see you with your 40-point night. One win away from a title for this young OKC Thunder squad. 120-109, your final playoff career-high 40 points, I'll say. SGA with a meek 31. It's weird that that barely gets any love at all. Pascal Siakam finishes with 28. TJ McConnell with 18 points. And Tyrese Halliburton, we will get to. 4 points, 0 of 6, 6 assists, 3 turnovers, and what looks like a bit of an injury. So, in a minute, but Jalen Williams deserves the most of this talk we're about to do. 25 or more points in 3 straight NBA Finals games at 24 years old. And I know throughout this postseason there have been some questions. Sometimes it looks like he shows up, sometimes maybe not as much. But are we sort of seeing now on the back end of this postseason run what he's going to be and is?
Yeah, I think we've been seeing that all year long. And now for such a young kid to be showing us on the biggest stage of the NBA season, you know, and he continues to get better, right? And so this is a dude that's been inconsistent. First couple of games he struggled. He was kind of inefficient from the field, but he's always had it. And the fact that he's 24 years old, he's already an all-star. He's already an all-defensive team. He does everything. He's so versatile. When his outside shot is going, he is absolutely unstoppable with his length, his athleticism, getting to the basket, getting to the free throw line. And as good as a teammate and a guy as SGA is, you know how hard it is for a dude to get off when you're playing with a guy like SGA and who kind of controls the offensive sets, controls the game, controls the mid-range, and to have this luxury of a Jalen Williams to do it next to him. And during the regular season, he was a bit of a closer for them too. As good as SGA was, MVP, unbelievable season, Jalen Williams was super clutch for them down the stretch in games, late in the fourth quarter in games. So he's been doing it all year long, and to see him do it after a slow start this series in the final at such a young age is unbelievable, and we are seeing a star in the making.
Man, I thought last night was his most aggressive game in the entire playoffs. Like he had almost 8 to 10 attempts in the first quarter. Like he was going for it, and nobody could stop him from getting to the rim last night. I think that was the turning point for him. He realized nobody can stop him from getting to the rim, and he used that to open up so many different avenues of his game throughout the night last night in this pivotal Game 5. But he was amazing. No matter what matchup they had for him, it didn't matter. It looked like he was ready to run through a brick wall. These guys understood what this moment meant. They knew how pivotal this Game 5 was. And it started with Jalen Williams. He was the aggressor in the first quarter. And I think from that moment on, he set the tempo, he set the tone for how this game was going to go last night. And it went from there. And I think that's what makes this OKC team great, right? Every night you can have a different guy be a focal point that can beat you, that can go out there, and that can put 40 on your head. They got 2 or 3 guys that can go out there and do that. And SGA have found a way to still throw in 30 when it clearly was Jalen Williams' night. But again, for a 24-year-old guy, such a big moment, such a pivotal game, for him to be as aggressive and meet that moment head on like he did, you got to give him credit for last night.
And SGA having the understanding that it doesn't have to be my night every single night. This guy went from 0 assists to 10 assists from game to game, and unbelievable just to set his teammates up, get in the paint, create 2. You know SGA is going to continue to draw the most attention. He's going to get the hardest defender, the best defender every single night. Like I said earlier, what a luxury to have Jalen Williams, who can kind of play similar, can get to his mid-range, can knock down shots, can get to the free throw line. He had 12 free throw attempts last night. He was steady, getting downhill and aggressive, and the dude's unbelievable. And we're talking about one of the youngest players ever with these kind of stat lines in the same breath as Kyrie, KD, D-Wade, and Shaq. Like, that is super impressive what he's doing on the biggest stage.
Youngest player to score 40 in an NBA Finals game. That's how you sort of know the baton is being slowly passed, is think of all the little historic moments we've had in this postseason so far, and it's all new stars. Like, we don't have the quote-unquote big names that we're used to seeing every year at this point. Prior to this one, Brian Windhorst, hey, Wendy, said that people around the league are starting to make the Jalen Williams with a Scottie Pippen-like career comparison. Lou, what do you make of that?
All right, I'm going to go out on a deep end here.
Okay, let me
right?
get my water.
Because there's young guys out there that's playing this game of basketball that's probably 11, 12 years old. They don't have a clue who Scottie Pippen is. Besides what they're taught and what they're told. They never seen Scottie Pippen play. Some of these kids want to be Jalen Williams, right?
Okay.
Some of these kids, they want to be Jalen Williams. They want to be SGA. They want to be Chet Holmgren. These young kids in Minneapolis, they're looking up to these guys. They are the new crop of guys to look up to. I think he's going to be the best version of himself. Now, can he have a Scottie Pippen-esque career? Sure, I understand the comparison in that manner, but I'm at war with so all of our nostalgia still being still being such a thing to us, right? We got to move on. Listen, can he have a great career like Scottie Pippen did? Absolutely. Scottie Pippen went on to make a ton of basketball. He went on to win a ton of basketball games outside of Michael Jordan when he went to Portland, Houston, and doing all of those things. Jalen Williams is paving his own path. So I understand the comparison. I understand what he's trying to get off. But allow some of these, we got to start allowing these young guys in media with our opinions to create the best form of themselves. He's 24 years old. Allow him to create his legacy. Allow him to create his name. That way, down the line, there's going to be young players that's going to pattern their games after him as well.
Yeah, and like the list and the titles, they're so irrelevant when you really think about it.
Sure.
The moral of the story is we have a 24-year-old budding star who is absolutely dominating, playing his best basketball in the NBA Finals, leading his team to a 3-2 lead in the series. I think that should be the story. I see what Wendy's saying, though. When you have a team like how their team is built, it's a clear 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? It's MJ, Pippen, Rodman. It is SGA, Jalen, Chet. Like, it makes sense on paper, the format, and the versatility defensively, which Jalen Williams brings and what he does, slashing, getting to the cup, finishing, playing off SGA, like Scottie played off MJ, which is crazy because if we're calling him Pippen, is he calling SGA like with Jordan?
I know,
so it's like,
thinking,
again, we can go down a rabbit hole on comparisons and titles all day long, but I see it, but I'm with Lou. Let's just let this kid continue to grow and continue just to shine and play great basketball.
Because what's going to happen is the moment he doesn't live up to the expectation or the comparison that you put on him,
it's like he's not as good as Scottie.
He's not as good as
He'll
Scottie.
never win as much as he did.
He's not that. Like, no, allow him to have Scottie Pippen's never outscored Michael Jordan in NBA Finals.
There you go.
He's never done that before. So again, the comparisons, I understand. He's saying style of play. He's saying all of those different things. But we're watching the changing of the guard. You just said it, Beadle. We're watching the baton get passed to these guys. So let's start putting some of these comparisons and some of these things to rest and allow these guys to create legacy on their own.
I do think there's value in these sort of comparisons, not because, you want to keep dragging the past into everything, but I do think like a casual out there. But if you're like, well, so tell me about who are these teams? Like, what are we looking at here? You could be like, okay, Michael Jordan, this guy's basically this guy. I get it. Like, there is value in
you know what else is crazy?
But we're still speaking to the past.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah, I know, because
so
not everyone keeps
I'm speaking
up.
to, what about the kids that have no clue about that?
So there's two different demos, right?
Two different demos,
like the oldies.
I think it's just hard not
ones.
to compare great teams now to great teams then and what they're doing.
But that's our culture.
That's
our culture.
When you look at the personnel of what they have, and this team, I guess, does have similarities to that team. But when you look at a guy like Jalen Williams, too, what dude this young can have 40 in the finals and make an all-defensive team? So it's not even like his value isn't necessarily scoring. Like, it is ridiculous the impact he has on both sides of the ball, and to have that luxury of a guy that can do both and bought in on the defensive end this young. It's ridiculous.
You know how I knew it was crazy is I got up to go get something out of the kitchen, and I'm watching the game, right? And I got up to go get something, and then they were like, and that's 40 for, and I did a double take to my own TV because quietly I was just like, he does have 40. Like, that's absolutely insane to me. I thought it was some sort of a
30, and I started yelling at the TV, don't run from that 40.
No.
Go get it. Don't run from it.
It's amazing. Now, there was a moment in this one where it got a little bit interesting because they were down by 18 at some points, the Pacers were, and they cut this thing to 95-93 with about 8.5 to go. It looked like something cool was about to happen. And then it didn't, because the Thunder went on to outscore Indy 18-4, and they take the lead back up to 16, almost like that. Lou, when we look back on this and we sort of dissect these finals, and if it does go as it looks like it may go here, will this run be considered a quote-unquote championship moment?
I believe so, because I think this was their best basketball play in this finals. And Chandler and I called it yesterday.
You did.
One of these teams were due for a big game, and we felt like it was gonna be OKC having that big game. And this is something like today when they watch that film, this is something that their coach is going to be proud of. This is going to be some Dagnall is going to say, now this is who we are, because they didn't even do anything special on defense. They were just in the right places at the right times. They were pressuring up. And look, some of these, they're just throwing the ball to them because they're in the right spot. They've been a great team, defensive team all year. But look, everybody's in the right spots. They're doubling on the ball. They're in the passing lanes. Look at this effort. That's great. Like, that is a play that goes on the film first, and so like, it wasn't like they were just doing anything out of body or special on the defensive end. They were just consistent with their pressure. They were up the floor. They were in passing lanes. They were in the right spots on the defensive end. Like, even if you're a bad defensive player, you put yourself in a great position to be worthy on defense just by being in the right spots. And every single time that they needed to stop, it felt like Indiana was just handing them the basketball by them being in the right position at the right time.
Yeah, they're just constantly on a string. And Lou knows this, like when you're doing like shell defense, you are seeing man and ball, you are the 2-9 guy, you are the Chuck guy on the roll, on the pick and roll. They are always in the right spot, which makes it so much harder to run your offense when you have to pick and choose your possessions, and like you have to make the right play every single time. And when you got guys like Cason Wallace and Lou Dort that are so physical and just completely denying you and pressuring you nonstop throughout the whole possession, it makes you back on your heels, and it makes your offense so much harder to run, especially a guy as good as Tyrese Halliburton is with setting up the offense. So this was outstanding, especially because the Pacers, they've been doing this. I had the thought, here we go again.
I thought for sure. I was like,
oh my God, here we go again. They're going to absolutely come back here.
They hadn't lost 2
Halliburton's going to hit a game winner.
Yep.
Like it would just, and the Thunder finally put their foot down. They showed growth from the let-ups before, and to go on an 18-4 run and take that lead back and push it and kind of blow it out of the water was a huge moment for them. I think for this season, for going to next season, and just the whole growth of this beginning of this dynasty, this was a big, mature, quarter of a stretch right here. That was really impressive.
It got so exciting.
15 steals, 12 blocks. Like, again, their offense doesn't have to be elite when you defend like that.
And there were some bad turnovers too. Like it's like the Pacers for a blitz, they glitched or something.
Well,
weird happened.
That's how they started the game. They had 7 turnovers in the first quarter. Like it was a tale of 2 teams. Indiana had 7 turnovers in the first quarter. OKC had 7 different guys score in the first quarter. Like, that sets the tone for how the rest of this is going to go. And it continue on throughout the game. And as you can see, how much production they got from so many different guys on the OKC side and how many guys they turned the ball over on the Indiana side. I thought last night OKC was very intentional on where they were. They knew what the moment was. They didn't shrink in that. And it showed throughout the game. And they made it tough on Indiana, down to the point when they cut it down to 2, right? You cut it to 2, and a minute and a half later, you're down 9 to you're down 9 to 10 again, in 90 seconds worth of basketball time. And so again, this started from the tip. OKC knew what it was, and they went out and took care of business, man.
It was rough. Tyrese Halliburton obviously hobbled in this one with the calf. He has 4 points in this thing. A big fat ofer, which is